in a gathering like this, according to some researches that have been conducted attending. I don't want to think that research will apply here, because and we thank him for the journey masses that enabled us to reach here safely. We are aware, Chief Guest, that our roads have become very, very unsafe. No single day passes without the news of a fatal accident taking lives. And indeed, we must thank God each time we complete a journey successfully. I want to thank and welcome the Chief Administrative Officers whom we have invited, the education officers from the different local governments, levels, and the inspectors. My colleague has said, we invited you, but we do not take you coming here for granted. We all know that you are extremely busy people in wherever you are deployed, and when you choose to leave other things that you are supposed to do and you come to attend this seminar, we know that you attach great importance and holistic assessment of learners in a dynamic environment. Shall we be sure that the learners that have gone through this process have been awarded to assess learners using variety of methods, including projects, or schools, are involved in the most sensitive stages in the administration of the exam, are able to fit in the constantly changing environment of our world. To speak of the impact of artificial intelligence, the issue of job creation, and even the ability to further learn as they go ahead with their education. Our chief guest, last year on almost the same day, that was 19th, we had a very fruitful two-day engagement here with our education officers and inspectors, who, as you have been told, are the key field personnel who make it possible for Uganda National Examinations Board to successfully run national examinations, and in particular, the primary living examination. Our chief guest, we are gathered here again to take stock of the achievements we had in the conduct of PLE last year and what areas that we need to focus on for improvement. One of the weak links in the chain in the previous field management of PLE had been the distribution system, distribution of question papers from the storage stations to examination centers. Because of the laxity in some districts, this critical activity was being assigned to very junior officers with low levels of accountability, and in some very extreme cases, chief guest, we had even border riders engaged. As a result of this laxity, criminals infiltrated the system in some districts. And we had cases of breaches of security of the examination. So we agreed last year that this essential duty must be done by senior officers of the local governments who are more accountable and with a higher sense of duty than some of the ones that were being previously engaged. Our chief guest, I'm glad to report that UNED's appeal was largely heeded and the distribution of PLE was better handled in most districts than in the previous years. We made the appeal that this should become the norm rather than the exception. Our chief guest, the board is working to ensure that the distributors are remunerated at a rate that reflects the level of the officers involved. We also discussed the problems of non-payments to invigilators after they have concluded their assignment. In many of the districts, Chief Guest, this group of very key people are not paid promptly, leading to demoralization and unwillingness to participate in future exercises. Non-payment also makes the invigilators very prone to corruption because they can very easily become compromised. Chief Guest, the situation did not improve very much in this area because well after the end of the examinations, the board continued receiving very many telephone calls and reports from those who had participated in the field management of examination to the effect that they had not yet been paid. There are blame games here, Honorable Chief Guest, between the education officers, the inspectors, and the other stakeholders, and with fingers being pointed at the chief administrative officers as the accounting officers. Chief Guest, we have invited a few representatives of the chief administrative officers to this seminar to be able to hear these concerns. Now that they are here today, it is my sincere plea to the DEOs and DISs to point out these areas where the cows could address to improve on the financing and the management of the PLE. Chief Guest, the presence of the representatives of the CAOs is important because, as you are aware, Honorable Guest, primary education is largely a local government function, and the field conduct of PLE is therefore a shared responsibility between the local governments and Uganda National Examinations Board. The board expects that local governments should budget for this activity. However, in the last examination, as in the other previous ones, quite a number of local governments appeared not to have included the vital activity of PLE conduct in their budgets. The education officials who are charged with the responsibility of running the examination therefore operated under conditions of very severe resource constraints. The board commends them because even beside the severe resource constraints, they were able to deliver and the examination was concluded. We wish to make an appeal to the chief administrative officers, who are the accounting officers, to spare no efforts in mobilizing logistics and other resources to ensure that an even smoother conduct is possible for the PLE 2024. Chief Guest, this is even more so because candidature at PLE has gone up quite significantly this year, from the 749,374 candidates we examined last year to 798,742, almost 50,000 more pupils. That's about 6.6%. Our Chief Guest, we also shared our concerns on examination malpractice, which appears now to be perpetrated at district levels. We did point out that in some districts, examination malpractice appears to have been accepted as a normal practice. Because, our Chief Guest, in your other capacity, you sit on the Examination Security Committee, and you have seen district leaders from certain districts making an annual pilgrimage to UNEP, year in, year out, to attend the hearings for a lot, hundreds of results of their pupils are withheld. And in some cases, in many cases, these results are cancelled. I will not name those districts now. Maybe in future, when it continues, we shall then ask publicly, district so and so, what is exactly going on in your place? We have made appeals to the chief administrative officers to take administrative action against the teachers who are appointed in trust to manage the examination, but through their acts of omission or commission cause malpractice to take place. Our chief guest, whereas we request the CAOs to inform us of action that they have taken in this area, sadly, the returns have not been very encouraging. On our part, we pledge as UNEP to look at the resource envelope and honor to the extent possible the requests that we have received from the field. One, to increase the number of sitting centers. Two, to increase the number of distribution routes. And to make any adjustments that may be possible within the resources that we have. Our chief guest, we have recently become aware of changes in the revenue collection and disbursement systems in the local governments, which is now impacting the way UNEP's contribution may be received by the districts when it is remitted. The board has therefore gone on to discuss with the officials of the Ministry of Finance on how the UNEP contribution towards the handling of PLE in the districts of development partners. UNEP carried out a national assessment of progress in education. Talk shows that were hosted on local radios. This is informative and should help in forging the way forward and the percentages of learners who were assessed and found proficient. In some cases, there has been significant drop, and then there are districts that have permanently occupied a very low position, with less than 25% of our learners being rated proficient. So this report, our chief guest, should be able to give a lot of information to the accounting officers, the CAOs, and the implementers of the teaching learning process in our districts. Honorable Minister, once more, our chief guest, I want to thank you for sparing time from your very, very busy schedule to come and officiate at this seminar, and also have another opportunity to meet this very key group of professionals in the primary education subsector. They are also very key not only in the teaching learning process, but they, as you heard, are the foot soldiers that UNEP relies entirely on to ensure that the battle for successful conduct of PLE is won. I want to thank you and once again welcome you and welcome our audience. Thank you so much. I now wish to take this singular honor to invite the chair of the board to make opening remarks, and later on invite you, our chief guest, to address the seminar and open it.
Thank you so much. The Honorable Minister of State for Higher Education, represented by Director of Basic Education, members of the board, Executive Director, UNEP, senior members of staff from UNEP and Ministry of Education and Sports, the Chief Administrative Officers, present here. The district city education officers, the chairperson, Uganda National Inspectors of Schools Association, district city municipal inspectors of schools, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, on behalf of the board, we are greatly honored to receive you at this annual engagement with representatives of districts, cities, and municipal authorities on especial matters of field conduct of PLOB. This engagement, as you'll note, is a two-day event rendered for the interaction with these senior officers who coordinate the administration of PLOE on behalf of the board. It is always a treasured moment when we come together to review the work of the previous year and also devise new ways of handling those areas that seem difficult or even impossible in the past. The primary living examinations, which registers the highest number of candidates, touches almost every family in this country. It is that sensitive and therefore requires wide involvement and adequate preparation, of course. By its extensive nature, this examination requires huge amounts of resources. On this, I wish to thank you, Honorable Minister, and the First Lady, and indeed the entire Ministry of Education and Sports for the unwavering support that we receive to be able to deliver on our mandate. Honorable Minister, I wish to thank UNEP under the leadership of the Executive Director, Mr. Dan Odom, for the remarkable work that they do. The reforms that can bring places so much demands on UNEP, but they have never let the country down. They are equal to the task, and I want to commend them for that. Thank you so much. This year, the first cohort of the lower secondary school curriculum is going to be assessed. I know that adequate preparations have been made, despite some challenges, many of which are beyond the board's means. I have learned that capacity building for teachers and various stakeholders and various stakeholder engagements are ongoing. This is in addition to the various technical preparations involving practicing teachers, the teachers, and subject experts, among others. The work which the National Curriculum Development Center did can only be put to completion when UNEP says that assessment will be possible. UNEP is now ready to deliver this maiden product. And external assistance occasioned during the examination room will entrust the children and examinations with. We hope that justice will be seen. Vigilance is expected during registration. Honorable Minister, on behalf of the board, I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to the government of Uganda, and once again, specifically Honorable Minister and the First Lady for the financial support often extended to the board to support the various examination processes. We never say enough. Thank you. I wish to pledge to you, Honorable Minister, that as the board, we are committed to conducting this year's examination in a manner that exhibits professionalism, which is one of our core values. I want to call upon the foot soldiers who are here before us to also commit themselves to to ensuring a smooth field exercise, which is, I say this for God and my country. May I now take this very
senior members of staff of UNED, officials from Ministry of Education.
Good morning, sir.
First and foremost, the opening of this seminar due to other engagements. He was destined to be here at the last minute, but received a call and had to move in a different direction, so his apologies. I also wish to convey warm and prayerful greetings from the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, who is fully aware of this significant engagement with you, the key stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pleasure and profound honor that I stand before you here today to make opening remarks to set the tone for this 2-day seminar when stakeholders from local government authorities convene to engage on very important ways of effectively managing examinations this year 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate God for His abundant grace and mercy for allowing us to go through the various hurdles in the service of our country. I'm also happy that you have turned up in large numbers, a testament to how much value you attach to this exercise. This has been already echoed by the ED, and we appreciate you for turning up in these big numbers. I must also acknowledge UNEP for recognizing and ensuring that this annual engagement takes place amidst the very tight schedule. I hope, colleagues, you know what is about to happen, so UNEP is really appreciated for finding time to have this engagement happen, although they are now preparing for that other program you all know. This level of participatory approach to issues is commendable, where we have cows, where we have DOs, where we have MCs. So it's commendable that all the stakeholders convene here to deliberate for the good of our children. As a ministry, we are aware of the value that local government authorities add to the national examination exercise, particularly PLE. I wish to thank you for your hard work and commitment to the service of our nation. That is the spirit in which all work should be done. A meeting of this kind, ladies and gentlemen, is vital because it allows for the sharing of practical and relevant experiences about what concerns our children as far as assessment is concerned. This therefore deserves all the attention we can accord it. Over time, ladies and gentlemen, we have noted a a steady increase in candidature across all levels. This is a positive trend, revealing the government efforts and fruits of actualizing universal education through UPE, USE, and Operate. I need not to emphasize the government's commitment towards universal access to quality education and unlocking all the opportunities for human capital development, whatever challenges notwithstanding. In this bid, UNEP has played a commendable role, highly appreciated by the ministry. But also equally commendable is the role local government authorities play in education service delivery with the decentralization. We really commend you for what you do to ensure provision of quality education and assessment. As such, the two-day engagement is a great opportunity for you as representatives of local governments to bring forward your field experiences and knowledge as a contribution towards smooth management of forthcoming examinations. Ladies and gentlemen, I gather from the ED's reports that examination malpractice has been significantly subdued. But notable traces are still imminent and perpetuated at the local government level, where the responsibility of distribution of examination materials has been delegated. I'm happy that the ED emphasized on this point and the plans of how to curb this kind of vice. This, I understand, happens by way of deliberate envelope cutting, I emphasize, followed by the photographing and sharing of question papers on social media platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all professionals. When one hears this, it takes time for one to believe that this can happen in our spaces, but it does happen. Where envelopes are cut, pictures are taken of question papers in a bid to share among schools and cheat. This is very regrettable, and I want to urge you as professionals that it should not happen again if it has happened in your space. Ladies and gentlemen, the vice of malpractice discredits our examination system. All of us get affected in some way, and we should collectively raise against this vice. Nobody can say I'm not concerned. We are all affected if this vice continues to happen. I'm happy the new UNEP Act 2021 contains very punitive actions against perpetrators. We should all internalize this law and use our various platforms to sensitize all stakeholders. A message must be strongly conveyed to potential perpetrators of the likely consequences if they cross the path of this law. But in order to prevent this Vice, I urge you to deploy men and women of tested integrity, well selected, trained, and also given the necessary tools to do their work. This will go a long way to enhance the capacity of participating personnel so that we don't have excuses. Let me now address you on another very crucial educational reform here with us. The new lower secondary curriculum and assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, the first cohort of these takers of this curriculum are sitting their maiden end of cycle examinations in October 2024. Just a few weeks to these exams. From the various reports shared by UNEP, I have learned about the immense preparations carried out in readiness for assessment under this curriculum. Competence-based learning and assessment is the way to go in the 21st century arena. And my appeal to you all is that we need to embrace it, to actualize holistic assessment of our learners. We have a lot of hope in having the children of tomorrow equipped with the necessary skills for lifelong learning and sustainable living. Permit me to acknowledge uniquely the resilience of UNEP for remaining steadfast amidst all challenges towards this upcoming assessment. You have given this nation a face of real patriotism and a point of reference for dedicated service.